7 ways to manage debt to avoid bankruptcy or foreclosure. Welcome to Achieving Success Through Failure. So a lot of people carry debt around. There's going to be good debt and bad debt. Today we're going to be talking about bad debt and actually how to manage it before it becomes overwhelming. Number one, you have to accept the fact that you have debt that you need to manage. It's a mindset issue. You can't keep running away from your responsibilities. This is something that you need to manage and take control. The way you spend, the way you budget, and the way you pay your bills is very important because it is your responsibility both to you, the creditors, and your family.
Declined. Can you try again? Really declined. How are you going to pay this debt?
Once you've accepted the fact and realize where you are you just starting to accumulate bad debt and should change your habits? Or are you in the phase drowning in debt that you actually need a lifeline or someone to help you just to be able to take a deep breath and regain control of your finances? Number two, stop accumulating bad debt. Stop buying things you don't need to impress people who don't care about you. If you can't afford to eat out, then eat at home.
Stop throwing your money away and learn to understand its value. When you keep throwing money away, it will certainly disappear until it is all gone.
Number three, now that you've accepted the fact that you are in debt that you need to manage and you've stopped the bleeding, now you have to list all the debt that you owe. This is going to be from various credit cards, your auto loan, other debt that you've accumulated, such as if you borrowed money from a lender, your mortgage, a HELOC. List them on a piece of paper. Arrange your debt in a column with a total amount, the minimum monthly payment, the due date, the interest rate, or APR. Then, once you've arranged it, you look at the minimum payment that you should be making monthly. But making the minimum payment monthly won't actually put a dent to solving the problem. What you have to do is actually put more. And the question is, which one do I pay off first? And there's two ways. One is going to be the avalanche method, in which you would put more money on the debt which has the highest interest. Logically, that would basically save you more money in the long term because you would eliminate the debt with the highest interest. However, to some people, they need the actual feedback of success. So there's also the snowball method, which they pay off the smallest debt to actually see a win. Either way, I'd recommend that you do whatever would lead you to success. Whether you're pragmatic, doing the avalanche method, or you're emotional, doing the snowball effect, but get those bills paid down.
Here's an example of the debt chart. We actually write all the people whom we owe and which companies on the first column. Second column is actually the amount that we owe. Third is how much is our minimum payment monthly. And lastly, we put the interest rate and the due date. With the avalanche method, we choose the highest interest rate and pay it off first. With the snowball method, you completely pay off the smallest debt to provide a positive reinforcement.
Once you've made a plan, then you'll need to do your budgeting every month. And we've discussed this on the previous videos, and you'll have to take a good look on where your paycheck is going. And that's in order to allocate proper funds to actually pay off all these loans. When you're doing your budgeting, it is important to actually plan the timeline as well. When you would be able to project when each loan or debt will be paid off. So that would be your marker so that you would be on track. And this may not be a short-term goal, but a long-term goal. understanding the fact that you have to be able to take control, whether it takes 12 months, 24, 36, but this is going to be a long-term plan. Number 5, dispose of things that you don't need or which are not necessary.
I have a clock lighter that I found at my grandfather's house.
Every lighter should have a clock on it. You can really burn some time with that.
If you are on the latter part of the curve in which you are now overwhelmed, your finances are now overwhelmed with a debt, and you look at what you have and what you're currently paying for, if you can't afford it, it may be time to sell. A car, which is more that you can afford. If you're struggling with your monthly payment, you may have to sell your car, buy a cheaper one, something that will actually do the job, but will prevent you from not being able to manage it. Number 6, one thing that you could do is to restructure your debt. But there's one more thing that you could do to allow debt payment to be more organized with lower interest, and that is debt consolidation. There are a lot of websites there. I personally used Lightstream previously. I had to consolidate all my debt from my credit cards from a 19% interest rate, get it down to 7%. And these are multiple credit cards, put them all together, and then pay them off monthly. So now in that aspect, I'm only paying one creditor. Other things that you could consider are doing a balance transfer and a credit card that offers 0% interest for a year. That may actually save you interest in the meantime while you're trying to manage your finances. But there's a lot of these small tips and tricks, but the most important thing is how you actually plan and execute them and stay disciplined throughout the course in order to get it managed. Lastly, number 7, and this is specifically for the people who are drowning. When you're drowning in debt, you are overwhelmed and you are at risk of foreclosure. When you're looking at the end of the road, wherein you're 3 months, 6 months behind payment. In that aspect, sometimes you have to accept the problem as is. What do I mean? I mean in that aspect that you're going to lose your house. But how does that help me? Well, if you lose your house and get foreclosed on, that will significantly affect your credit. Why is my credit important? I'm already in debt. That's another thing that negatively impacts your recovery. When you end up losing your house and at the same time ruining your credit, how are you going to restart? And in this aspect, this is the time to call help, in which there are a lot of people who are actually interested in buying houses to help people who are in this situation. But how does that help? Well, they can do it in 2 ways. One is you sell your house and have some equity in it and get all your loans paid out. Then that would be a fresh start. You could downsize or probably rent for a while until you can get back on your feet. But for people who don't have equity and can't find a cash buyer, there are people who actually help solve these problems creatively. When creative finance steps in the picture, at times if they take over your property and start paying your debt, that will actually rebuild your credit score. And in that aspect, depending on how the deal is structured, they may even have you walk away with some money in your pocket. So make sure to manage your debt, keep an eye on your finances, and don't run away, but take control. Please click the like and subscribe button. Thank you very much, and I'll see you next week.